News.
Okay, we'll start with this. Mikaela Mayer wants Lauren Price and Clarissa Shields after two-fight series with Chantel Cameron. The three-division champion hopes to face unified welterweight champion Lauren Price and undisputed heavyweight champion Clarissa Shields at middleweight before her career concludes. The first two fights of Mayer's final run figure to be back-to-back junior middleweight title bouts against Chantel Cameron, who the WBC junior middleweight champion is set to face at the end of this month in a unification clash at the BP Pulse Live in Birmingham, England. Mayer expects the encounter to have a subsequent sequel since they both have rematch clauses in their contracts for a 10-round main event on ESPN Plus, which will be streamed in the United States and Sky Sports in the United Kingdom. Mayer, 22-2 with 5 knockouts, thinks she has 6 fights left before she walks away from boxing because of how difficult training camps are and the length of a promotional contract with Jake Paul's MVPW. Facing Cameron, the WBO champion will provide the third-ranked Mayer with an opportunity to defeat the number 5 fighter on the ring's pound-for-pound list and a chance to win the unclaimed Ring Magazine junior middleweight title. I didn't know that at first, that her and Chantel may end up fighting 2 times as a result of a 2-way rematch clause, but it's a little bit presumptuous to assume that there are going to be 2 fights, because what if the first one is lopsided? So lopsided that maybe the other fighter doesn't want a rematch. Then Lauren Price, so I can finish what I started at 147 before I jump up to 160 to fight Clarissa. Mayer told The Ring of her plans of facing Cameron twice. That would be ideal for me, but you never know what happens in boxing. I gotta take it one fight at a time. Shields, 18-0 with 3 KOs, has become undisputed champion in 3 or 4 divisions and won consecutive Olympic gold medals for the United States in 2012, in London in 2016, in Rio de Janeiro. The 5-weight title holder from Flint, Michigan, dropped back down to middleweight to face unified champion Kay Scotch this month on the 15th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta on DAZN. Las Vegas' Mayer, 36, and Shields, 31, were both members of the 2016 U.S. Olympic team. Olympic sisters. I'm still skeptical as to whether that fight with Mikaela and Clarissa is going to take place because it all boils down to the money. What is on offer? What's actually on offer besides titles for Mikaela to concede that much weight to Clarissa? A potential clash with Price, 10-0 with 2 KOs, could crown a unified champion as well. Wales's Price owns the IBF, WBA, and WBC welterweight titles, and Mayer is the WBO champion there. Price, however, could face Shields next in their own middleweight match, assuming the heavily favored Shields defeats Scotch. I wouldn't give Clarissa much credit if she did beat Lauren Price, because Lauren doesn't have that many fights, no experience at junior middle, let alone middle, to then hop up there and fight Clarissa there. What does that prove? That Clarissa can beat a naturally smaller, less experienced fighter? Give me a break. Back over to Mikaela, who says, I think I'll be at peace after 6 more fights, assuming I get the fights I want. Mayer beat Mary Spencer by UD October 30th in Canada to become the unified junior middleweight champion. The win was Mayer's 3rd in a row after losing a split decision to England's Natasha Jonas in January of 2024. What a lot of people called a robbery, the Woodland Hills, California native beat Brit Sandy Ryan on points in back-to-back bouts in September of 2024 and March of 2025 to win and defend the WBO welterweight title. England's Cameron has won 4 straight fights since losing her rematch against undisputed 140-pound champion Katie Taylor by majority decision in November of 2023. She gave Ireland's Taylor her lone defeat, a majority decision win to retain her Ring Magazine, IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO 140-pound titles in May of 2023. Cameron, 35, became a 2-weight world champion in her last fight when she beat Mikaela Kotaskova by UD to win the then-vacant WBO junior middleweight title on April 5th in London. I'm fighting someone who I've always wanted to fight, Mayer said. Me and Chantel, we've been on each other's hit list for a while. We're both at the time in our careers where we want to make important fights, and this is important for women's boxing. So originally I didn't know about the 2-way rematch clause that both women have. I anticipate that Mikaela Mayer is going to win in the UK. Depending on how the fight goes, Chantel may or may not activate her rematch clause. She's not really suited to fight at 154. That division suits Mikaela a lot more than it suits her because Mikaela's got more room to grow, to fill out. Whereas Chantel at that weight, she's shorter, stockier, stumpier. It could make her slower. I've got Mikaela winning the first one. We'll see if there is a second beyond that. Talking about a Claressa Shields fight, like I've been saying, it all boils down to the money more than just the titles, because you're asking a naturally smaller fighter who started out at 130 to fight you at 160. Mikaela doesn't need that fight with Claressa more than Claressa needs that fight. Claressa is the one facing a scarcity of opponents after all, whereas Mikaela would still have a lot to choose from at 154, 147, and even 140. To where you have to pay to play. And what is the last leg of Mikaela Mayer's boxing career, the focus isn't just legacy, because she already has legacy. She already has titles. The focus is money. And I never heard of any woman getting life-altering money to box Claressa Shields. I wonder where the financing for the Lauren Price fight is supposed to be coming from. Claressa's supposed to be boxing her first, supposedly. I wonder who's paying for that, because I don't imagine Lauren Price is conceding that much weight to Claressa for the same kind of money she pays Kay Scott or Lonnie Daniels. Danielle Perkins, peanuts on a dollar? I don't think so. Lauren doesn't need a fight with Claressa. Because Claressa's next fight is at 160 against the unified champion, she's picking up 2 alphabet titles for her and Lauren to fight for. But it is prize fighting after all, not just pride fighting. What is she going to pay Lauren to concede that much weight to her because she's already more experienced than Lauren, naturally bigger than Lauren? We'll see. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, reactions are still pouring into William Zepeda's domination of Lamont Roach, who would serve as a common opponent between him and Gervonta Davis. A guy who goes by the name Hassan Wells said, Gervonta Davis versus William Zepeda for his comeback fight. I already see it. You wish. To which friend of the channel, Michael Monterio, said, Zepeda is perfect for Tank. Comes straight forward and doesn't have power. Is that accurate? Me and Michael share a lot of the same opinions when it comes to Gervonta Davis, including this one. We're not impressed with him. We're not impressed with his resume or his career or his would-be superstar status. But if you're talking about a fight with William, the styles of the fighters, the stylistic matchup, Gervonta has the right style for the job. That's boxing math for you. Lamont Roach had the right style to trouble Gervonta Davis. In turn, William Zepeda had the right style to trouble Lamont. Gervonta Davis has the right style to trouble William. That's boxing math for you. You see, Lamont Roach is somewhere in between a pure boxer and a boxer puncher. He's somewhere in between there, and that sort of hybrid style is enough for him to trouble Gervonta. William Zepeda being the way that he is, that pressure fighting style is enough for him to trouble Lamont. As Lamont doesn't have the work rate to keep up with William Zepeda, in truth, neither does Gervonta, but Gervonta does have power. Theoretically, enough power to land in between the punches, land hard, get William's attention, and maybe stop him. Maybe get him out of there. I say maybe because he couldn't get Cruz out of there. Nope. Couldn't get Lamont Roach out of there. Nope. So it's a possibility that Gervonta Davis, because he cracks harder than a Lamont Roach, he could knock out William, in theory, but it's not a lock, not a guarantee. The reason for it, Gervonta hasn't fought in a while, and he's set to sit out all of this year. By the time he comes back, if he does come back next year, it will have been closer to 2 years from his last fight, the one with Lamont Roach. And you don't fight a guy like William Zepeda off a 2-year layoff, or close to 2 years, so where people think that this sets up Gervonta Davis's comeback fight, I think that's just a lot of wishful thinking. If Gervonta Davis would have been active in the last year and a half, 2 years or so, we'd be having a different conversation and I would look at it differently. But if what you're talking about is Gervonta fighting William straight away, that doesn't favor Gervonta at all. The saving grace is, I don't expect that to happen. Who said Gervonta Davis is fighting William? Who said Gervonta Davis is coming back as a lightweight? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he fights Cruz again at 140. William is too dangerous, too busy a puncher for Gervonta to fight him right off the couch. Though some people, they're not impressed. In my previous video, I talked about how both Cruz and William Zepeda are pressure fighters, but William is better with that base style. He's a cut above Isak. to which a guy who goes by the name NBSNYDERC responded, the difference between Zepeda and Cruz isn't their fight IQ, it's the 5 inches in height and 6 inches in reach.
Oh, so you're saying he's not better, he's just taller.
Because Isak has to travel more distance than William to land any punches and his longer-legged opponents can move away easier, Cruz gets hit clean less and throws less. Cruz hits harder, but has less knockouts because he can't land as many shots as he has to. Cross that void, where he can't hit his opponent, but they can hit him.
Sounds like what MBS is talking about is ring coverage. The amount of ground a fighter can cover based on their physical dimensions, their height, their reach,
and how longer legs make for longer strides. A guy with longer legs can cover more ground than a smaller guy with shorter ones, which is true, but it's not everything.
Could make the guy harder to get away from because he can cover more ground. Though as stated, that's not everything. It's not just that William is somewhat bigger than Isak Cruz. That's a gross oversimplification that undersells William and oversells Isak.
Never mind that he's a short, stumpy, stocky fighter. His combinations aren't fluid. They're not even combinations most of the time. They're just flurries, wild punches that he's putting together.
Wide punches, fat punches that you can counter in between.
His footwork isn't the best either. He just barrels forward. He doesn't know how to really cut off the ring and keep on an opponent like William Zepeda. It's not because he's short.
Yeah, being able to cut off the ring has nothing to do with height.
And you say that he hits harder than William Zepeda, but you know that they both share a common opponent in Giovanni Cabrera. And guess which one stopped Giovanni and which one didn't? Here's a hint. It wasn't Isak.
It was William.
Levant Roach is not the only common opponent between Isak and William. Giovanni Cabrera was able to take Isak Cruz the distance, only losing a split decision, whereas with William, he couldn't make it out of the third round.
With Giovanni. With Lamont Roach, where the best Isak Cruz could do was draw with that fighter.
William Zepeda went a step further and dominated that fighter for most of the fight. I know what you're thinking, that triangle theories don't work, because William did better with Lamont than Isak. That doesn't mean he beats Isak, but it stops being a triangle when there's more than one common opponent.
It's not a triangle anymore.
When two guys have more than one common opponent and one fighter consistently outperforms the other, that's not a triangle, that's just that guy is better than the other guy. Simple.
I take it you like Isak Cruz a little bit more than you like William Zepeda, though I don't know why, since Isak is tantamount to a barroom brawler. He's a pressure guy like William, but a very low-level pressure guy, and low-level pressure fighters are brawlers.
All you're telling me is that because Isak Cruz is short, he doesn't have as good punching technique as William, but there's plenty of short fighters that have good punching technique. Mike Tyson threw very short, tight hooks, tight uppercuts, all defensible. Marvin Hagler, he was shorter than Tommy Hearns.
Canelo Alvarez is shorter than most of the guys that he fights, but he's got better punching technique than most of those guys. So the idea that Isak Cruz, and the only reason that he fights at the low level that he fights is because of his height, sort of a cop-out. It's a part of it, but some of it is just that he's a limited fighter, that he's not as good as William. And I think that's what you're trying to get away from.
That William is better. That maybe Isak Cruz is a little bit more popular because of his glorified loss to Gervonta, but the better fighter, in terms of fighting, pressure fighting, is William, and that is proven in the two common opponents they share.
William outperforms.
Where William Zepeda is dominating the likes of Lamont Roach, who even Gervonta Davis couldn't drop a stop.
Isak is going life or death with the Angel Fieros of the world.
Give me a fucking break, alright? Elsewhere in the lightweight division, the WBA has officially ordered Floyd Schofield versus Lucas Bahdi purse bid for the vacant lightweight title. Floyd Schofield finally has his shot at a first world title after spending more than 13 months on the sidelines. The WBA has ordered the unbeaten lightweight contender to face unbeaten Lucas Bahdi for the vacant lightweight championship with a purse bid scheduled for August 11th.
So I guess they weren't able to reach a deal during the free negotiation period.
The Ring's Mike Coppinger reported on Saturday that the WBA set the minimum bid at $150 large, with a 50-50 purse split between the two fighters. The winning bidder will secure the promotional rights to stage the bout, which will crown a new WBA lightweight champion after Gervonta was designated a champion in recess.
It's just a fanciful way of stripping him of that title without calling it stripping him outright, because that's what it is.
The designation would allow Gervonta to challenge the winner of that fight outright as a mandatory if he so chooses.
But I don't expect him to.
The ruling finally gives Schofield a clear destination after more than a year without a fight. A scheduled title bout with Shakur Stevenson collapsed during fight week in February of last year after an illness forced him to withdraw.
An undisclosed illness, which we still don't know what it was, because that following Monday he was back in the gym, healthy as a horse.
Schofield returned 4 months later by knocking out Fevin Tarmer in one round, but a wrist injury canceled a planned clash with Joseph Jojo Diaz. No fight has been announced since. Instead of waiting for another opportunity, Schofield now has the chance to win his first world title against one of the division's leading contenders. Bahdi enters the fight after climbing to the WBA's number 2 ranking, setting up a meeting between the organization's top 2 available contenders. The unbeaten Canadian stands one victory away from claiming his first major world title. The purse bid leaves both promotional teams little room to maneuver. If Schofield and Bahdi fail to reach an agreement before August 11th, the fight will head to open bidding, with the winning promoter determining the date and location. Early Saturday, Schofield Sr. publicly reviewed his call for a scheduled fight with Shakur Stevenson as the layoff stretched beyond 13 months. Hours later, the WBA handed his son a different opportunity. Instead of waiting for another marquee fight, Schofield now sits one win away from becoming the WBA lightweight champion.
It's going to be interesting if they don't reach a deal in what remains of the free negotiation period. Lucas Bahdi is tied to MVP, whereas Floyd Schofield, to my knowledge, is still promoted by Golden Boy. So you have to wonder, who does this fight mean more to?
Who's more invested in their fighter? MVP and Lucas, or Golden Boy and Floyd?
The minimum bid has to be 150 large. And this ain't the kind of fight you break the piggy bank over, you know? I mean, this is not $1 million fight. Neither guy has the kind of following to warrant that kind of a bid. I would put the value of this one at maybe $500,000?
If that, and let them split that. These guys are not that popular. Floyd Schofield hasn't fought in over a year. Lucas is not known among American boxing fans. Might remember him as the guy who upset a then unbeaten Ashton Silva and knocked him out in what was a knockout of the year candidate, but since then, he has sort of fallen off the radar. It's not that he hasn't been fighting, it's that people haven't been paying attention.
It's a good acid test for Floyd Schofield. It is the kind of opponent he needs and the kind of fight that he needs to be in. Hard to say that he's a shoo-in to win, coming off of over 13 months of inactivity, more than that by the time the fight gets made.
Chalk this up to wishful thinking, but I think it'd be the funniest fucking thing in the world if Lucas can do to Floyd what he did to Ashton Silva.
I'm not saying that he's going to. I'm saying that if that happened, that'd be pretty fucking funny.
We'll see if they can't make this fight amongst themselves in what remains of the free negotiation period, or if the purse bid will decide who gets the rights.